And we're live. Brandon leaves the
Live.
second we're live. Love it. Cheers to you, Brandon.
I think you wanted to show off that Pearl Jam poster.
Oh yeah,
Aw.
that's good too. No,
It's
I'm
a
trying
great
my
poster.
TV to turn off.
Televisions.
There, good. All right.
I think I need some more juice on this light.
What's the score of the game, Brandon?
I don't know.
No.
I didn't even have it on. I was playing music through it, and I realized, oh, I'm gonna have this graphics going around the screen. I'm gonna be like The Office, where they're waiting for it to go in the corner.
In the corner? I just watched that episode like 2 days ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's rad. I love that stupid show.
All
Yeah.
right,
Absolutely.
we're fired up.
Yeah.
Ah, Eric Sheets chimes in at 17-0. That doesn't
Thank you,
tell us
Eric.
who's winning. Rams are winning. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate that. We appreciate the field update. Hello, Mr. Babineau. We've got our baker's dozen, so let's
What's the score?
find
It's
out.
0-0. Who's winning?
The Giants. Here we
The
go.
winner.
Hello and welcome to the Indie Beer Show. Today it's Holiday Madness, apparently, but really the theme of today's show is holiday beer drinking and buying, and we are joined by Gene from Bottlecraft. Sir, please try to explain to the public what you do at Bottlecraft North Park.
Thanks, Brian. So I am the buyer at Bottlecraft North Park. Bottlecraft, as I'm sure many of your viewers are aware, is a number of local craft beer stores and tasting rooms throughout San Diego and into Long Beach. And so I buy all the beer before it sees the light of day. So every day I go to work and I order tons of beer, and then we stock it, and then off we go.
Awesome, and not
great.
just beer anymore.
Correct. So beer and wine license in San Diego is always goes together in California in general. And so we've been expanding into wine a great deal throughout the Bottlecrafts, especially at the North Park location. But as of this year in early March, the North Park location, the location where I'm the buyer, managed to acquire a spirits license. So that's
So rad.
huge. Opens up boundless new vistas. We'll get back to that, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
but before we walk away from that, if you are a bourbon person, go stand at the cash register and look directly behind it. You will be very happy, man.
The person behind the counter won't be creeped out at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah, happens on a
used
daily
to
basis, really.
Yeah. They're like, wait. So speaking of beer, the first beer that we're enjoying tonight, Foliage from Enegren. Oh my God, Abel!
And
Show's over. We can't possibly do better than that.
Abel wins. Abel wins.
Please, first off, tell us. I believe this beer just barely got to San Diego, and then number two, why you chose it for the holiday beer special.
Right. So you lovely folks had asked me to come up with 3 maximum 4 beers that would be seasonally appropriate and seasonally available and not to be found after this. I didn't think that it was responsible to try and come up with an IPA, even though this is San Diego, because many of the rare and hard to come by IPAs simply you can't promise. I couldn't in good faith promise to your viewers that they would be available 2 weeks after coming up with it. But I did know that this particular beer was coming down the pike. Enegren, as I'm sure you're all aware, is a German-style brewery up in the Central Coast, actually the Central Coast inland in Ventura County. We love them. They do excellent German-style lagers across the board, traditional styles and some departures. They do a really pitch-perfect Hefeweizen with the proper yeast. And so when we heard that this one was coming, it seemed reasonable. So this is Foliage. It's I don't know. Do you want me to talk about the beer at all?
Yes,
Or-
that specifically. Please talk about the beer.
So this one's a little confusing, right? Everyone can see the color It's got a nice sort of umber, coppery color, but it's transparent. And so it's German-derived malts, and it's only 5.5% clean lager finish. But then the hopping is going to be somewhat different. It's Pacific Northwest hops, Cascade and Chinook. So we've got sort of a split personality going on between the hops and the malts. But I think it's a confusing beer, but I think it has its own identity. What I would say is if you enjoy Celebration by Sierra Nevada, and I think we all do, and you enjoy lagers, then you would probably enjoy this beer. So
100%. And cheers, thank you. I was super excited to see this on the list because I have been an Enegren fan for a while, even though I just said their name wrong. Enegren. Yes. But I agree with your assessment. Really super clean lager with almost like a classic pale ale hop finish. Fucking delightful. That's what
I like how that classic hop finish that he's talking about. I like it. It forms this nexus with the toastiness of the malt, where they coincide and it becomes one, and then it just makes for this really great clean end note.
It's not too much of anything. It's not too sweet. It's not too bitter. It's balanced and it's finesse, and that's what I like in a beer.
Run, don't walk to get this beer because it's
Seriously. This beer is like so just smooth and just so clean and just it makes you want to drink more and more and more of it. Like it's just so good.
I always say the real measure of a beer is, do you want another one?
This one's gone, so yes.
Yeah.
It's not often that you see me have 2 or 3 glasses of a beer that we're talking about on the show. Super easy drinking. Like Brandon said before we were on air, this definitely needs to be in steins or at least 6-packs. So if you guys have the chance to get your hand on Foliage, please check it out. It's a terrific beer. And we're even getting comments on the side that are backing us up from the Babinos, and we'll get to them in just a minute. Thank you for joining us. But first, we have to ask you the most beer podcast question of all time, which is, what is the beer that sparked your love of craft and started you on a journey that ended up here?
Okay.
With Fawn over your shoulder in the background, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Can you tell
I can recognize those labels from anywhere. Anyways, go ahead.
Can you tell this is staged? I didn't know what to do. Hey, these guys have Christmas trees here. We got
yes, exactly.
2 out of 5 people here are Christmas. So the very first beer I ever had. So cast your mind back a long time and take yourself to Belgium. The very first beer I ever tasted was in Belgium.
Wow.
So in Brussels, I was there when I was 17 with my folks, my dad and my stepmom, my sister, and we were in downtown Brussels, there's the Grand Place, or the Grote Markt, French, Flemish, same thing. And there's a narrow warren of streets that are pretty pedestrianized just outside of the Grand Square there. And we were out at a restaurant, and my dad had ordered a beer that he had never had before. I don't think he'd ever even heard of it. And it came in this bulbous glass, and it had tremendous carbonation. I mean, just like really frothy, massive, massive rocky head. And he took a sip, and then he sort of like leaned around, and he said, "You can try it if you want."
Yes.
So I had my first sip of beer, and it was Dufil.
Of course.
It's usually Americanized to Duvel, but it's Dufil. That was the first beer I ever had. And
my God.
I maybe had 2 sips. If I said I had 3 sips, that might be the case, but it wasn't any more than that. But it was, the aroma, just the clove, and then the sort of fizzy, frothy nature of it. And I thought to myself, if this is beer, then I like beer.
Way to start low, Gene. Way to start low.
Right?
Arguably, this is how I got into my profession. It could have all begun from that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Bach or like Trader Joe's Private Reserve.
It was Natty Ice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Just be honest. That's
No, I'm telling you the truth.
What a great story. Your folks are cool.
Yeah.
My dad got me started on this. After this, he started leaving Dufil in the fridge at home in Northern California. And then he got into North Coast, and he started leaving Prankster in the fridge at home. So I've had a lot of Bufel and Prankster in my life. He's kept it permanently in the fridge for decades now.
And the great thing about Prankster is you could put it in the fridge for decades and you could still drink it. It's a great aging beer. So how did you start and progress through like your education in beer, and how did your life lead up to being a beer and spirits buyer for a local craft beer shop?
So it went in phases. I grew up in Northern California. I went to college in DC. I left California for a dozen years before coming back here to San Diego. And I studied German in college along with history, and I spent a lot of time in Germany during college and then moved there directly after college. And I lived in Germany for a time, and I really got sort of infused with the lager culture there. And to this day, lagers are still my absolute favorite style of beer. And it was just a very solid grounding. The beer culture in Germany is so developed, but I always say that they have excellent beers, really spectacular beers, but along a very narrow band of styles. But those few styles, they do perfectly. And so I drank a lot of lagers and a lot of Hefeweizens and other wheat beers. And I was living in Leipzig in Eastern Germany for a time, and the Gose style, as you know, comes from there. This really bizarro sort of historical anomaly, should have maybe gone extinct, maybe even did go extinct and was resurrected. Sort of salty, lightly tart, lactic acid, coriander, really, really strange. And I remember drinking it there in my early 20s and thinking like, wow, this is a new dimension of beer that I could not have said. But I wasn't studying beer at the time. I was just, tasting
living beer.
Yeah. Living, because even the everyday beer there is of extremely high quality.
Of course, yeah.
But then the real, I'd say what my finishing school in beer was when I began working as a second job. I was living in Massachusetts, in Greater Boston, in Somerville. And I had a day job where I was a records manager. I ran a warehouse full of documents out on the Charles River. And
exciting.
Yeah, very stable.
That's why you drank.
Not lots of like.
That's why he drank.
it was stable. It was it didn't thrill me. Do you understand? And
it made you drink. Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
you're selling it so hard. It's really hard to imagine.
If you look at my CV, I'm officially trained as an archivist and records manager, and I have not one but two degrees in history, which is why I sell beer. So, so I just started hanging out at the local craft beer store in my neighborhood in Davis Square, and then a position opened up, and they needed part-time help just 2 nights a week. So I joined up, and it was one of those stores. Let me paint a picture for you. It's called Downtown Wine and Spirits. If you're ever in Somerville, Massachusetts, please drop in and thank them for me. It's an independent store, but it has been open since the end of Prohibition.
Whoa.
It reopened officially in December 1933. So it's a long-standing store. And it's one of those stores that has everything. I mean, like 1,400 beers. Lowest of the low, highest of the high. 30 racks of, what have you, and also like $50 Italian sours. And so I was initially hired to work in the imports aisle because I had spent enough time in Europe and what felt familiar enough with the German and Belgian styles. They're like, you can work over here. And so I did, and it was great. And then I just kept looking over at the American craft section. And this was back when Massachusetts was really starting to see a lot of stuff fermenting up. A lot of breweries opening, a lot of experimentation, a lot of expansion of knowledge. And I just started spending more and more time over in the American craft section. And it really helped that a lot of my coworkers at the time were also around my age and were also really into learning more. And we would just come to work. I remember the first 6 months I came to work, I was just so excited to go to work, and we would, talk about beer. I started checking out books about beer from the library, and I started studying. And every day I just loved hanging out with my coworkers at work, learning about beer and tasting it and sort of expanding my knowledge. So I was there for 4 years, 2 nights a week, just 2 nights a week, but for 4 years. And when I moved to San Diego, I looked around a little bit for archives and records management jobs, but you know,
that hot market.
I know, but one, there aren't any. I mean, sorry. Part of my job as a records manager was actually putting myself out of a job by digitizing everything.
Oh.
And two, San Diego, capital of craft. San Diego has a tremendous beer culture. I mean, really, nothing like I've ever seen anywhere in the world. And so I started working for Bottlecraft, and it just made sense. It fit. And I felt that at the time when I joined Bottlecraft, there were only 2 locations, just 2.
Yeah.
Every year that I've worked at Bottlecraft since then, we've opened another location. So let me tell you, it's a lot more fun to work for a company that's, expanding, not contracting.
Contracting.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and did you start off as beer buyer, head of a store, or did you start off at the bottom and end up as a manager?
It didn't take long. I joined at a very fortuitous time. I joined, and then less than 6 months later, I mean, really less than half a year later, my predecessor as buyer at Bottlecraft North Park moved over to Little Italy, and then I was pulled up. So
excellent. Promote from within.
Right time, right place. And and my job description just has kept expanding since then. In the Anticovidian universe, I ran beer and cheese classes with our friends at Benissimo North Park, and then that expanded into wine and cheese and cider and cheese. And I miss those so much. That was really fun. I guess I'm considered the head of education for the firm. So I do customer outreach and staff education on beer styles. And I get to, this is really wonderful, the autonomy inherent to it. The owner of Bottlecraft, Brian Jensen, has given the buyers complete autonomy. We can buy what we want for our shops. And if something might work at one shop and not at another because of the vastly disparate neighborhoods, I mean, what works in North Park just may not work in Solana Beach and vice versa.
Of course.
So we do coordinate, we do communicate with one another, and just, we buy what makes sense for our local customers and our regulars who, after all, keep the lights on. So
that's awesome, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds like you found a little more satisfaction working at Bottlecraft than your archival career.
Hot take. I like it.
I know it's very. I know it was hard to read between those lines, but I think I pulled it off.
Yeah.
All right.
I will say though, Judith, if you're listening, this is who you're handing the torch to Sunday.
Exactly.
He's like, no, thank you.
So let's catch up with our audience. Hello, Mr. Babineau.
What's the love for Gene here?
Right? Thank you for the sports report, Eric. We appreciate it. Hey, Nick, I hope your truck is doing better, man. Mr. Ilrev in the house, I see you. Hello, Joseph. Thanks for joining us. The Bobineaus happen to have Foliage, and definitely really enjoyed it, as the several comments will show.
Can we just say real quick to the Bobineaus? They really try to go and get the beers when we say what the beers are. So thank you guys. Thank you for doing that. And I know there's a couple others that do it, but especially to them, I just want to say thank you.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
And also, the public probably doesn't know this, but probably our biggest financial supporter as well. So thank you, Bobineaus. You guys are amazing.
Tell him next time we do a show, it's going to be at Matt's house. He's got
right?
I know.
As soon as it's legal for him to cook us any food, we have to be there.
Indie Beer Show Smoke Out 20.
Exactly.
Sunday.
Joe's agreed with Enegren being great. That's rad. Chris, member of San Diego Beer News, beer education at Pure Project. Also,
Hi, Chris.
thank you so much for reposting the San Diego Beer Holiday Food Drive. I really appreciated that. But I guess you and him were hanging out today, and it doesn't super surprise me that two of the bigger beer education people in San Diego were talking.
Well,
so good job.
Yeah, we talk on the phone.
It's adorable. You have now been dubbed the Neil deGrasse Tyson of beer.
I love that.
Rudy, we can't wait till we can all hug. But I agree. Brandon does look
Yeah,
happy and festive
he
tonight.
does. Look
And
at
so
him.
does Abel. By the way,
Yeah.
I hope you didn't miss Abel pulling the first beer out of his holiday pouch
I'm hoping he's
because
gonna do that for every beer we
that
get.
was pretty special right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Good question, Matt. How much money do you spend of your paycheck inside Bottlecraft, Gene?
Oh, I don't want to.
Maybe a
There's
person.
a lot of people listening right now, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let's do this. How many beer fridges do you have at home?
Okay, so I have a single fridge for all the food and all the beer.
One.
I have a hutch filled with all manner of things, but in terms of cold beer, everything has to fit. It's actually a good control because you
Right.
get the one in, one out policy.
Got it. Okay, okay.
That's way better than me. Way better. I have a beer fridge that is a kegerator that I modified to hold about 150 cans, and then I have a 12 cubic foot chest freezer that was my homebrew fermentation chamber that I then just gave up and set it to being a fridge, and has another 85-ish bottles and cans in, and I have beer in the regular fridge. So don't listen to me.
Do you
Don't
have
do what I do.
spreadsheet to keep track of it all, or do you have it all memorized?
No, neither. I
great.
don't keep track of anything. I don't have any of it memorized. But for whatever reason, I have a really good feel for what is in my fridges or what's in my closet. I think it's love, passion, and dedication that just makes it stick in my head. Occasionally, I'll grab a box out of the closet and I'll be like, "Whoa, don't remember that one beer." But pretty much, the 5-ish hundred bottles that are, damn it, I said it out loud again, that are in my house.
Anyway.
I pretty, it got me through the. Pretty much, I understand what those are. So yes, warning, Caesar's in the house.
Yeah.
I agree, Cesar. Maybe you should keep your pants on for this episode. And yes, Rudy, he is a liar.
Rudy is a liar.
So here's a legit question. Do you guys have plans for any Bottlecrafty stuff up in Vista or Oceanside? Are you North County bound?
Oceanside is a possibility. I'll leave it
All
at that.
right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We like that.
Yeah.
Hello, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate that. And thank you, Candice. We really, really, really love your support. And yes, Matt, as soon as it's possible, you can definitely cook for us. We love that, man. I agree, Jerry. Gene is a wealth of knowledge.
Dictionary of beer. I wonder how many titles you're gonna get today, Gene.
I don't know. I can't take all these medals. It doesn't work.
We love drinking with you
by text.
as well, Candice. And next week's show, which will be our end of the year show, we're going to actually publish the beers we'll be drinking early because we already have them. So it's already determined. So we'll be able to announce those beers maybe even tomorrow, if not certainly on Saturday. So you guys have more time to get them than normal. But thank you. We really appreciate drinking with you.
And unlike my co-hosts, especially Estella, they're gettable.
Unlike Estella. That's awesome. Yes. Both Brandon and Abel go all in on background and attire. They own that in the show. Wow, I agree, Rudy. 6 beers in the fridge. That is awesome. I was trying to think if I've ever been down to 6 beers, and it's been years. No, in my life at some point, like early, probably even early in my 30s, there were probably times where I had less than 6 beers. But by the time I was like 33, 34, so that would have been 15 years ago to now, always beer. There are about 16-ish beers in dark, cool place, a half a dozen in the fridge, and a second half in total. That's not so bad, Daniel. That's pretty
good.
That's pretty maintainable. I mean,
Yeah.
I have clearly gone off the deep end. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure.
Yeah. I was gonna
Say,
I'm gonna assume that it's Brandon and Brian of the 4 of us. I think me and Abel are a little bit more controlled. Abel, am I
No.
Am I wrong? No.
Remember, I have a roommate that does beer for breakfast. So
Right,
we have
right,
a ton
yeah.
of beer in our house, and I have a shit ton in my closet, all stouts, of course.
He's gonna love the next beer then, if he's a beer for breakfast kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Okay, so I'm the one that has the most self-control then,
that's good.
because I have 2 children. That
Oh, I was gonna say,
Well,
or
are you the
just
only one that drinks in the house? So.
No, the kid does too, but
Oh yeah, he's old enough now.
yeah. But no, I have a smaller fridge and the regular fridge, and then just like the ones that are put away in the dark. But
yeah, that's good.
but it's not what you guys are at all. Nah.
I have multiple times in my life held what we call bottle shares in my house, and where I've opened like 85 bottles for like 15 or friends or so, and then like the next day been like, damn, I can't even tell we did that.
Yeah.
It's
Fairly
bad.
done.
Yeah, but this year's been really good. I have actually drank a lot of the beers I was aging because I've been at home more,
Right.
and so I actually may be down to 400. Anyways, whatever. That's great. Let's stop talking about my closet.
No, I was actually going to ask you guys that. Now that you guys everybody's kind of home a little bit more, have you guys found that you're drinking the beers that you've been saving
Yes.
more or not?
Okay,
Yes.
so we got a mix. We got the
3 to
exact
1
mix.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I have definitely been like,
So
fuck it.
you've been
Two-
making a dent, a small
Yes.
dent.
Tuesday is special. Let's drink
Okay.
let's drink one from the back of the fridge.
Gene, same thing for you. You've been
Yes.
making a small dent.
Yes.
Yes.
Although the average age of the bottles that I have is it's been creeping up, and after a certain point, a lot of them are just not going to be that good anymore. And
Okay.
it's more of a greater awareness, like
Got it. Okay.
drink your whales, everyone. They probably
Right.
already pooped.
Yes. If it's
Brandon?
been if you can't remember how long it's been since you put that beer in your fridge, it's probably too long.
Yeah.
And some of these beers are, you say, oh, I'm saving it for a special occasion. There are no special occasions anymore.
right.
You can't have friends over,
Yeah.
so then you open the beer and that becomes the special occasion. you know?
Right. Brandon,
That's
are you
awesome.
drinking your
Fine,
beers?
especially in the beginning of the pandemic, because you do come to the realization that for a long time we're not going to have special occasions. So let's make it nice, like Brian's talking about as well. It becomes really a satisfying experience on a Tuesday or Friday. I've made Friday Farmhouse Friday, so it's like
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
break into all those nice like barrel-aged saisons and breath.
Yeah.
Even I'll stretch over to Goose and all that great stuff, but I think I'm still in the hundreds like I should be, but I'm a nerd. I've got a spreadsheet. I've got different temperature controlled refrigerators and all that, and we're spending way too much money on electricity for all of this. But I also have closets.
It's investment
dark
in the
closets.
future.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But and that future came in 2020, and it really did enhance life a lot. Sometimes.
Good.
You know what? Let's do this. Tonight's the night.
Yeah.
But some of those stouts are too big. I can't get rid of these until my friends come over.
It's
and tell
tough,
me
and
to
because
drink
the
12.5s.
5, 6, 7 years ago, the dominant format for a lot of these were 22-ounce bombers or 750 milliliter bottles, which pretty much demand to be shared. And if you can't share it, you're in trouble. That's one thing as a retailer that I've really noticed over the years is the trend away from these super high, much larger format bottles down to 12-ounce bottles. And especially, of course, the canning 12-ounce and especially 16-ounce cans. I would like to see a return of 8-ounce bottles. I
Please.
think that would
Especially
be
for like
tremendous.
barrel-aged beers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We've seen a few cases of these like little tiny. Have you seen these 8-ounce cans that are exactly half the size of a 16-ounce can? The most proximate example I can think of is Shaftesbury's cider out of Vermont with their lowball, which is precisely 1/2 of a 16-ounce can. Now, this is a fun little cider, 4.8%, but imagine if you took that and applied it to a higher ABV beer that, could be actually single serving.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's great.
We can wish.
Yes, indeed. Caesar was actually nice, and we should recognize that he was actually genuinely nice. So thank you,
He's the
Cesar.
nicest person. I don't care what any of you say.
I
I
thought
love
he
him.
was nice a lot of the time.
Right?
He's all
Just
the time.
just
all
not
the time.
publicly. Like that's
That's
that's his shtick. But that's awesome that you helped Kevin with some recommendations and he's drinking Foliage with us. That's rad, man. Yeah, we understood, Kevin. We got it. The Blakes chiming in. Apparently, they've got a food fridge, a beer fridge, and a dark closet, which is perfect if you ask me. But it can be heavy at times when you have that much available to you. 2015 Black Tuesday, Matt. Save that for the dinner that we'll be able to have late next year or early 2022.
We have to have a bottle share as soon as we can all get back together.
As soon as it's possible.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
And
Along
yeah,
with our beach
I miss
party.
Beer Fest terribly.
Yeah.
Beer Fest
So we got
Along
the
with our
Babin-
beach
we got
party
the
in
yeah,
Del
we got the
Mar.
we got the beach party, the Babinus barbecue,
Right.
the bottle share.
we're locking up 2020 for lots of high fives and hugging. That's rad that you still have some vertical epics. I think I have two. I think I have number 2 and I have number 11, which are my favorites in that series. Yes, of course we want Cesar to bring us all the virgin beers. We love those too. Yes, Speedway would be perfect in 8-ounce bottles. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to let people know that you're actually a really nice guy.
I will. I don't care. I'll tell everybody.
And yes, thank you, Candace. We can't wait to hang out with you. So, Gene, what are some other knowledgeable people in San Diego that maybe you admire? And is there anyone that you call when you happen to have a question?
Well, you had mentioned Chris Leguizamon earlier, and so I mean he's got to be pretty high on the list. So I really enjoy talking about beer with Chris. You can tell all of you have spoken with him. You can just tell
Absolutely, he's been on the show. He's
Okay,
incredibly passionate.
Yeah, he's got that spark in his eye when he talks about it. So I really enjoy doing that. My good friend Tyson across the street at North Park Beer Company, love chatting about beers, West Coast IPAs and lagers with him. My counterpart Alex Holmes, the beer buyer at Bottlecraft Little Italy, we share a love of dunkers, which is a sadly underappreciated style. We share a love for a lot of beer styles, but
also probably a pretty small club, the Dunkel loving.
You'd be surprised. I have a couple of regulars who that's their favorite style, and they're always coming in and asking, got any new?
Isn't Beth one of those too?
I thought she was Schwarzbier, but that's kind of in the same. I think that's in the same vein.
Yeah, I think of Beth as more of a Schwarzbier person, but I'm sure she likes dunkers too. Next time I see her, we'll have to chat about it.
Yeah.
But I agree. All wonderful humans you have mentioned, and I think it's important for everyone. I mean, one of the bigger things about craft beers specifically is it comes with a community, and it's been great when we can talk about. Yeah, and it's a very welcoming thing. Without the incredible welcoming industry and generosity of San Diego breweries in general, we wouldn't exist. I mean, it's not. It does cost people money to be on this show, or us. One of the two. It's got to cost. Beer's not free. It's costing someone. Sometimes we buy the beer. Most of the time, breweries are incredibly generous, like Bottlecraft was this time as well, and they provide the beer. And especially now that we're all separate and recording remotely, now that's double the amount of beer that we used to bring to the show pre-COVID. And it's just amazing when it happens. So thank you again for your generosity. But at the same time, when we have to buy the beer, no problem. We can't do the beer show without the beer. So step one. We get it.
Culture. I mean, beer is so many things to so many people, and here in San Diego, it's culture. I mean, not just in San Diego, but there are people that are regulars, people I've known for years and years, and even more glancing acquaintances. And do we have anything in common besides beer? Perhaps not. But we can talk about beer, and that's the nexus point.
Yeah.
That's the connection. And so, maybe we shouldn't even. I mean, it's great. I find that through beer, I've met some of the nicest and most generous people that I've ever met in my entire life. So it's
I would agree.
Welcoming culture,
and just a terrific, supportive, giving community. And like we've often talked about, even the industry is very friendly with each other's, even though they're in competition. And especially now, it's really a very awesome dichotomy. So, speaking of all of that and wonderful beer, we thought it would be appropriate if we talked about the beers that we actually want. So, like, not everyone has beer on their Christmas list, but we sure as fuck do. And so we kind of wanted to talk about the types of beers that we want. And so that's going to be our top 3 tonight is beers we want someone to give us for the holidays. Let's start with Frosty the Abelman. Wow, that's a great name, dude. I didn't even read it all the whole show. That's rad. Your number 3, sir, holiday beer on your wish list.
The number 3, just because they change it every year, the Karl Strauss Holiday Beer. This one goes to 11. The Imperial Red. But all the ones have been great throughout the years. I know it's only 12 days, so next year's the 12th one. So I'm very curious what's going to happen after that. But
we start over, bro.
We start over. I don't know.
the 13th, 12th year of Christmas.
I mean, they might do 11 again because of the COVID, the pandemic. They're like, oh, we're doing 11 again, so they might go once more. But that series has always been great. I've always enjoyed those beers throughout the year, so that would be my number 3.
That's awesome, man. And I know we're kicking over to Brandon, who happens to have been collecting that series since inception, I believe. Is that correct, Brandon?
Yeah, I was really glad that it didn't fall in the 12th year this year because couldn't party to open them all. Next year's the party, so yay.
Yes. That's awesome. So what is your third most wanted beer on your Christmas list?
It's my favorite of the annual Christmas beers from overseas. I love Scaldus Noel. One of the hardest ones for me to typically find as well. I really, really enjoy so much about that beer. It's almost indescribable, the flavors, because I only have it once a year, some years. But I really love that beer. And if it was going to tip, let me know. I'll go get it for myself. I deserve it.
I'm afraid it's already out of season, Brandon. We can't order anymore. I'm going to go be the bearer of bad news.
I keep going in that dark closet. It's all good.
We got to retire.
We're done.
Oh, my God.
Next year I'll hit you up way sooner. And
the seasonal creep is a real thing where things are just beers. The beer world is starting to reflect the fashion world. We're a full season ahead almost.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It can be very weird when, we every year we joke about how the pumpkin and holiday beers start coming earlier and earlier, but it's actually pretty true. Yeah, exactly. And it's going to keep getting earlier if people keep buying it that way. But anyways, that's not a big deal. Especially for the next year or two, if you're a brewery that can sell a beer, fucking sell it. Hold on to every single dollar you can. Please get through. Estella, number 3.
I'm going to go Stone Chocovesa because it's one of my favorite beers, and I love to get it every year. So if anybody wants to gift me that, come on, let's go. Let's go.
That's right. Did you want to play, Gene?
I'll play this game.
Excellent. Your number 3 holiday beer on your wish list.
Yeah, so I really like unfruited mixed fermentation saisons, and you see so few of them these days. There are all the sour saisons, or all the sour beers in general. I shouldn't say all, but many of them have an infusion of this fruit or that fruit, and that's great. That's terrific. But I really, really like things like Saison Bernice by Sanche Darius or Saison Americaine by Jester King. They have this real delicate sort of eggshell funk that I really like. It's so one of those two. I guess I better pick one. Saison Americaine by Jester King.
Okay. Good job narrowing it down. And you cannot argue with the excellence of both of those beers you mentioned.
Yeah.
Bernice may be the first real saison that I loved more than enjoyed. Just a huge fan of Santé Darius, and I wish I could get more of their products down here, but maybe someday. We'll see. You can get some of their products shipped within California if you're a fan of theirs right now, so check that out. Not Westy, but otherwise. So for me, it's any of the seasonal IPAs are going to be my number 3. It all started with Celebration. The entire freaking industry maybe, but Celebration was the first holiday hoppy type of beer. Several breweries just put out special double IPAs and hobby products. So, and this year being a little more tight, I would say one from within 2 miles of my house. So that only narrows it down to about 17 breweries. So one of the 17 breweries in the my hyper local area, and what I consider walkable brewery is what I would be my number 3 wish. So holiday hoppy ale from walking distance of my home, which, as you can see Gene doing, that means it's time for beer number 2. Ooh. And
it's coming out of the pouch.
okay, here we
Coming out of
go.
the pouch.
Yes! Oh my God, that is so freaking sweet, Abel. So, as if you read the can, it's bacon and eggs from Pizza Port. Quite possibly the greatest coffee porter in San Diego, and therefore the world. But Gene, why don't you break it down for us and tell us what we're enjoying?
Okay, so first of all, who in San Diego doesn't love Pizza Port? I say that Pizza Port is the great equalizer. I don't know anybody who doesn't feel that Pizza Port is just so foundationally important. Wow. Okay.
Well, that was some inside pull, really good joke, Brandon.
So, but bacon and eggs specifically from Pizza Port is one of those, like, it comes around so rarely that you savor it more when it does. This is only the 4th time in memory that it has been canned and distributed. I'm sure there are other times that you could buy it at one of the locations of Pizza Port.
Yeah, but at bottle shops and widely available. It's very rare.
For those of us who live inland, you don't need to flee to the coast to get a can of this. But bacon and eggs is one of those beers that when I first moved to San Diego, one of the very first things I did, it was a month before Beer Week in San Diego, and one of our friends back in Boston had very thoughtfully bought us tickets in advance to the Guild Fest down at the Seaport. So this was a great introduction to the San Diego craft beer scene, and bacon and eggs was one of the beers that I tasted there for the very first time. And my partner and I looked at each other and were like, oh, wow, this is something else. Another one that also had sort of that eureka moment was the Harlot by Society. That was the first day that I tasted either of those. Nice. So I have I associate bacon and eggs so strongly with moving to San Diego and adopting a new way of life here. So we lost him.
No,
I think his cat just ran across the street.
My cat just dumped bacon and eggs all over my lap. I'll be back in a few seconds.
Oh dear!
I just saw the cat tail go running by.
Yeah.
Like, no!
Does this happen every episode?
No, just with you.
I think that was one for the books.
Yeah. I hope that didn't go on his computer, but
with the possible exception of Speedway Stout, I mean, bacon and eggs is just one of the most beloved coffee beers in all of San Diego, I would say. And they've got their signature, like, really cartoony, absurdist can art. It's just so irreverent. I love it.
Yeah, well, for somebody like me who's not a big coffee person, I love this beer because it's not so coffee forward, but you still get it, So it's not just like punching me in the face like some coffee stouts do. So This one is, I feel it's like the perfect balance, and it's just great, and it's just such a good beer. So
again, with the balance and finesse, I mean, it's earthy coffee. This is from Bird Rock Coffee Roasters up in Bird Rock, La Jolla. And it's earthy coffee, but it's just so well integrated into the base porter. And it's just, you don't know where the beer ends and the coffee begins. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or vice versa.
Perfect. I really like how savory it is. The fact that it's such a savory beer instead of having any kind of residual sweetness that often you'll find, because typically people put coffee into, you see it a lot more in Imperial or big Imperial beers. They're like in the 10% range.
In the double-digit range. This one's a mere 8%.
But I just love that to me it tastes basically like I'm having coffee, because the beer sings so well. My only disappointment, I'm going to let Abel get into this because coffee beers, he loves coffee beers. But my only disappointment with this beer is that I really can't pick up any of the bacon or the eggs.
They got you.
They need to up up the dosing on the bacon at least. I only give it a 4.
Get out my
4.
beer, bro. Come on.
Wait, you better not have COVID, buddy, because you might not taste it. So
We,
you don't have COVID, right? You good? You good, Brandon? You good?
I think so.
Run,
I'll take my test tomorrow.
Yeah.
for the screens for our draft list of the Bottlecraft, we use Tap Hunter, or now known as Evergreen, and you can, from the back end, from the admin point of view, you can change anything you want. You can change the style, sort of a custom style. You can change the flavor text at the bottom. And I always write when we have bacon and eggs on draft, Imperial coffee porter, with Bird Rock coffee, suitable for vegans.
Oh, that's great.
That's
True. There's neither bacon nor eggs in it. I don't know about that.
Maybe it's like soy bacon.
Oh, jeez.
Speaking of that comment about it being the flavor profile of this beer just being impressive, and Mr. Babineau is shocked that it's only coffee that is the adjunct in the beer, and I agree. It's just so well made that it just hits this awesome little nexus that where great beer lives, which is where the sum of its parts are more
Greater
than the individual parts. Yeah. That didn't come out the way it's supposed to, but you understand what I meant. Thank you, Kat. So Pete, for those of you that know, Pete tried to jump in my lap. I was holding a full can of beer. It didn't work out for me. I'm more than damp. But whatever. The show goes.
My number 3 is he'd like to be gifted some pizza part bacon and eggs, please.
Yes, another. Can I get a refill, please? Can I get a refill?
Yeah.
I have this much left, and I'm going to enjoy and it's dripping every sip of it. Yes, that's rad.
And Maddie just said, "Hey Caesar, now both you and Brian are not wearing pants."
Oh, that's so awesome! I'm glad I could join Caesar in the pantsless division. Speaking of, we do have a lot of stuff to catch up with in the comment land. Let's see, where were we? Anyways, we were way. Okay. The other Brandon on the show, Mr. Yerxes, drank a bunch early on, and then replaced Black Friday with Speedways and IPAs. That's first off, you can never show AleSmith too much love. So good job, sir. Yeah. I agree, Christina. Hugs. It's a weird thing that we've been talking about for like 6 months that we all miss, like meeting up with our friends. What's the first thing we do? Hug everyone. It's a weird thing that. Yeah, it was a weird thing that was just taken away from us, unfortunately, by a crazy virus. We love you and all the Blakes. Even your adorable children are loved by us.
The Blakes came by Society last week before we closed down. On
nice.
Their date, it was their date night. I was very
nice. That's rad.
Cutest. They're the freaking cutest.
They're awesome. I agree, Mr. Babineau. Support.
Picture?
Your breweries. Here, let me make that bit. Ooh, look at that mass drop violation.
Yeah. That's why I didn't post it. I didn't want to.
Yes. But I agree, Matt. Support every local brewery, and when you say a brewery in need, literally every single local brewery is in desperate need of business. So if you can support them, support them. Yes, Jeffrey, absolutely. The greatest of all time. I agree. It is an incredible beer.
That's my neighbor, Jeff Novoa. He's
rad.
Away from here.
Hello, Noah. I don't know what Dante's laughing about, but I'm sure it was funny. Yes. Oh, my cat. Thank you all for laughing about my cat. He is an asshole.
Brian, we're here for you.
Yes,
we're here to laugh with you.
Yes, Joe. It was great. Just had Bird Rock bacon and eggs coffee bun. Oh, they make the coffee, so you can go buy the coffee at Bird Rock.
Oh, this is new.
And yes, I think that does make you a partial owner of Pizza Port Cesar. And yes, it is definitely a Sumatra-ish coffee, maybe Indonesian at most, but it's definitely in that region. It's super earthy.
Ethiopian, totally.
Yeah, and we all we
Freaking nerds. Get
we
out of
all aspire to be as articulate as Gene
Oh.
someday.
Stop it.
Yes, we posted this earlier, but yes, now I'm pantsless. It's okay. Julie, thanks for joining us. Great, man. So when you are putting your list together every week of the beers you're going to buy, what's your approach? What's your mentality? What do you what should we know about your mind when we walk into Bottlecraft?
So, I mean, Bottlecraft as a ethos is only ever carrying independent craft breweries. So that's an easy baseline. But furthermore, I think we want to have stuff in stock that you can't necessarily just get at the grocery store. We want to have maybe slightly unusual stuff, maybe smaller batch breweries, maybe breweries who are only just starting to distribute to San Diego, or maybe have only started up in San Diego and are just beginning their distribution. So in looking at the sales sheets every week, I'm always considering a multitude of factors. What we have in stock at present. Do we have a lot of a certain category? What's been selling well recently? What have people been asking for? Are there breweries that people have asked for in the past and we couldn't get them at the time, but then all of a sudden now they're possibly to be distributed? These are all factors. Anecdotally, at Bottlecraft North Park, which is the most retail focused of the Bottlecrafts, I mean, far and away, we have 13 fridge stores devoted to beer and wine, and they're divided up by category. Out on the warm shelves, it's geographically. And my colleagues know that I'm kind of a stickler for this. I really demand stylistic and geographic accuracy when placing things. So I'm thinking about what has sold well in the past, what breweries I trust. What are the beers? What are the breweries that I would order beer from without hesitation? Without having tasted the beer, I don't even need to look up the ratings on some aggregator site. If they have a new beer, I'll bring it in. These are, it's a trust and experience thing. Okay. I guess this summer I would say every summer is always like a canned sour summer, but this summer it really exploded. I have noticed, from a stylistic perspective, we've seen these enormous profusion of fruited sour beers in 16-ounce cans, far more than in previous years, and with more radically unorthodox ingredients. Of course, IPAs
and giant government warnings on the side to prevent shrapnel.
Yes, yeah, with the fermentable sugars potentially still in the can. I don't know. Yeah. But otherwise, this is San Diego. This is a very serious IPA town, the world capital of IPAs. So we always have a healthy and dynamic stock of IPAs. And check your canning dates, everybody. Always make sure that your IPAs are fresh.
Yeah.
I support that message, and multiple times, whether it was your shop or even the grocery store, maybe people that weren't as familiar with beer, why do you keep looking at the bottom of every can? That's why, ladies and gentlemen,
So, Gene, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How fresh does an IPA have to be for you to drink it? Because that's what I want. That's what I want to drink.
All right. So I have a policy at work. If an IPA reaches 90 days on the shelf, I pull it. 90 days, I think, there are possible exceptions. Certain breweries, such as Sierra Nevada, have extremely low levels of DO, dissolved oxygen, and you can get away with up to 120 days, potentially, for those. Now, by my standards, I like to try to drink IPAs not beyond the 30-day mark, but that's just me,
That's my personal line is 30, 60 at most.
Yeah, if it's a double IPA, like we have some Kern River Citra cans in the shop right now, the last of it right now, and that's a wonderful, fantastic double IPA, 8%, slightly more malt body. Those can stand up to a little more time. They have not reached the 30-day mark yet. I don't think they will. But if they did, I would keep them.
Okay. Also, a lot of Sierra Nevada products, you mentioned beers that can make it to 120 days. I think they have a big advantage by naturally conditioning in the can. Mm-hmm. And so I think that gives them more longevity in their cans. So, but even even every brewer I know, their personal preference is actually, it's weird. Most brewers don't want day 1. They want like day 10 to day 30 is where they want to drink their IPAs.
I think Belgian even had a beer referencing that, the 3-day window.
3-day window, exactly. Day 3 to I think they say day 3 to day 6 is their favorite window. But whatever, everyone has their own.
Don't drink it straight off the canning line necessarily. It could be a little green.
Yeah. Matt Aiken from Benchmark used to say that when you take beer out of a 30-barrel fermenter and you cram it through all those lines and into a can, that it's mad, and it just has to chill out for a little bit until it would calm down, and then it will be friendlier. So that's always kind of stuck with me a little bit.
So we have a question from Dan Diego's. He said, "What about great breweries not dating cans?" What do we do with that? Yeah. Yeah.
Not a fan.
Yeah. I mean,
well, especially not in the age of COVID where things aren't moving so fast, or certain things aren't moving fast, but you don't know what is and what isn't. It can be really dicey.
Yeah.
And one of the good things about a constant revolving beer culture of needing the next new beer is, you can look at Untappd and be like, oh, it was released last week, whether it's dated or not. But, if you take some certain breweries, some breweries only give you a best buy date, which I don't like.
Yes.
I want to know when it's packaged and let me determine what my window is. And then
everybody's date might be different, right? For their best buy
Absolutely.
date.
Well, and we have a brewery in town, Green Flash, that will put like a 5-month Best By date on an IPA. I don't agree with that. They do, but whatever. They have science that backs up why they go 4 or 5 months, but I don't enjoy them. They start to fall off for me. And then
the Best By date can really make a difference. Let's say you have a Best By date for a stout or a barley wine that's 1 year out. Well, a lot of people are more than comfortable with going beyond the so-called expiration date.
Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead.
If it's style specific, absolutely. When I'm talking about dates, I'm only concerned with hoppy products. Every other beer, okay, that was a very big statement. Most other beer styles have a longer window of aging where they're still fresh. Like, especially lagers, you can go 3-4 months, no problem. Stouts, sours, you can go years. Gooses, you can go decades. So there is exceptions to every rule. But we have had a really good interaction from the fans this week, so let's just keep up with that.
I think they're all at home for the stay-at-home order.
Right? Exactly. It's really so. I didn't, and
it's our highest rating ever.
And there's no football tonight, so that probably helped too.
There is
but
football.
I guess I meant no good football. Anyways, Cesar, I'm
playing.
Yes, like I said, in LA. Anyways, thank you, Jill, for firing. No, just kidding. Yes, Julie, we do read them out loud, and I'm not surprised that Gene would be the best at recommending anything. But how many gins do you have at Bottlecraft?
We have currently 8 or 9 gins. They're new arrivals. Yeah, so do we want to tangent into this, the spirit section? Sure.
Yes.
So
we drink it all. We drink it all.
Yeah, so the spirit section is the newest detail, the newest layer of the Bottlecraft onion. It really arrived in early March, and it's entirely coincidental. It arrived about a week before the whole world went haywire. And it was not related in the slightest to the relaxing of rules that the Alcoholic Beverage Commission, the ABC in California, has granted sort of carte blanche to beer bars and breweries across the board. It's entirely unrelated, totally coincidental, I promise you. And so with a spirits license, all worlds are opened up. And so we've gone very heavy into whiskey.
Okay.
Because
that was clear when I was at the shop.
People really, really like whiskey. We have really devoted whiskey fans. I think I see one right there. Primarily bourbon, but also a hefty amount of rye. I personally really, really like rye whiskey. I prefer it over bourbon, just by my own preferences and palate. And then also Scotch to a certain extent, but also a lot of mezcal. We have a
Hello.
healthy. Yes.
Hi.
Okay. We'll have to talk. Yeah.
Now I'm listening.
I really love mezcal. I really love the.
Yes.
We'll get into the smokiness aspect later, which can be, not all mezcals are smoky, but we'll get into that later.
I'm gonna go visit you, Gene. I'm gonna go visit you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got something to have you.
Yeah.
But also Amari. I want to say a
Ooh.
special word for Amaro's Aperitivo and Digestivo. These wonderful Italian-derived, bitter liqueurs with macerated things in it. And I want to thank, in particular, William Pidd, who used to work for us at Bottlecraft, who now runs Jay and Tony's for the consortium down in East Village, which is an Amaro bar. It's a Negroni bar. And he really opened my eyes to a lot of the flavor and aroma and tasting possibilities of Amari just as such. And then we got the gins, and then we got some funky Jamaican rums, and that's the extent of our spirit section with a few other things right now. But yeah, for gin, we've got, I want to say 8 or 9. I'll say not more than 10 gins in the shop right now.
Do you think
That's
you'll have absinthe
awesome.
selection at some point as well?
I'm sorry, say again?
Do you think you'll have an absinthe selection at some point?
Ooh, I mean, we can make special orders.
Haha, like it.
I'm like, tequila? What's up?
Oh, yeah. Wait, we have some of those, yeah. Plenty of agave.
Yeah.
So earlier you had mentioned when you're doing your beer buying or spirits buying for the week that you consider customer requests. How heavily can your clientele influence your buying with their desires?
Dramatically, really. With a shop as small as ours, the desires of a single person, and a regular in particular, can really make a difference. Because if they're asking, unless it's truly extremely niche, if they're asking then somebody else, I see my job as that of being a matchmaker. I really do. I am trying to match up people with the beverages they're looking for, whether or not they've heard of that beverage, whether or not they are aware of it. And I have to hand it to my regulars. Regulars keep us all going. They, it's a wonderful feeling from a retailer's perspective, and retailers the world over can know this feeling. When somebody comes in and you can greet them by name, you can say, how was the so-and-so that you bought last week? And if you like that, have I got something new for you? And that, that's the daily sort of interaction that really keeps me going. It's really meaningful. It feels like I'm doing a good service in the world. You know what I mean? We're not just, if you were just a storefront, if all you needed was the beverage itself, then people would just order everything online. And many people are doing that. But what I hope when you come and see me, or come and see any of the rest of us at the other Bottlecrafts, is that we're providing a service above and beyond the product itself. That we're able to say, I remember you. I know what you like.
Yeah.
Let's go have a chat. Let's go
check
find
this
something.
out.
Let me tell you a story.
Nice.
I think you're gonna like this. I got a feeling.
Yep.
That's
rad,
awesome.
man.
I love that. I mean, coming from myself working at Society Brewing, I love when people come inside and like, never been here before, or I don't really drink beer, but so my question to them is like, well, what do you drink?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had to get a cocktail or any kind of alcohol, like what do you like? And it's good to pick the brain of people and figure out what they like, and then be all right, cool. Like you'll like the heiress, or you'll like the thief, or you'll like a butcher, stuff like that. So it's fun. I mean, I love that you do that too, and that Bottlecraft does that, and it's really awesome.
I mean, it's a stated maxim that bartenders provide this service above and beyond. But I think that there's something to be said for within our craft beer world, not just breweries. People who are working in tasting rooms, people who are working in retail establishments, we are the sort of last link before the customer. We're the ones who are actually going to be relaying the story from the brewer to the customer. And that's why I love beer fests so much. I really do. I miss them terribly because at beer fests, I can stand on both sides. I can turn to one side and see brewers and sales reps, and I can turn to the other side and see my regulars and beer fans. And I can say, I'd like to introduce you to. So-and-so is a longstanding fan of your beer. Hey, I just tasted this beer at this booth. You, in particular, I know you would love it. That kind of thing. That's why I think that we retailers have we're in a link in the craft beer ecosystem. Even though I don't brew beer myself, I have homebrewed, of course, but I'm not a professional brewer. I'm not trained as such. But from a curatorial perspective, I think that we have an important part to play.
Massively, and also everything you've talked about your knowledge and the service that you give to your clients has built an incredibly loyal clientele to your guys's, I guess, franchise, we would call it now, because you have so many locations. Even though you kind of started as like a really niche type of bottle shop, but success breeds success. So let's catch up with our people. No, Mr. Babineau, first off, you're never an asshole, but you're definitely not for checking dates. It is up to you, the person buying the beer, to make sure that you're confident in the product that you're buying. And sometimes date of it being canned or how fresh it is a big factor, especially when we're talking about a product that that is about to start degrading, and at least after 2 months.
Informed consumer, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, not at all. Mr. Hudson, welcome to the show, co-host of the year last year, wants to know who your favorite delivery driver was, and was it really Mr. Hudson? I mean, it's a pretty low bar. Pretty low. No, just kidding. Anyways, high five to Mr. Hudson. Lovely to see you joining us, man. Do you know what he's talking about? Did he ever work for you guys directly? Is he talking about when he was working for a distribution company and would bring you beer? Do you even know what Travis is saying?
We have some wonderful delivery drivers. They're an important part of the ecosystem as well.
Lovely answer.
Good answer.
I agree, Bill. I should have said Matt with Duckfoot. Unfortunately, I did mention his past brewery. Wow. Yes, please take back Hot Bullet. That was Best Buy March of 2020. So this is one of the negative aspects of a grocery store or a big box store, is sometimes they don't care about the freshness of their beer or other products for that matter. And if it's not something that sells, you could very easily walk home with something that was 7 months past its Best By date. And as I just said, this particular brewery stretches their Best By date longer than anyone else in town. So that's probably close to a year-old beer, and much more barley wine than IPA by now. I would bet. And a weak oxidized barley wine at that. Yes, all beer does taste the same if you don't have any taste buds. That is correct, Craig. Thanks for joining us, man. Do you have any meads you can recommend?
Mead. Oh, that's a niche question. So we have a few meads at the shop. There's the Dansk Mjød from Denmark through Craft Beer Guild distribution. Big, sweet, sort of port wine-esque. There's the cult favorite Superstition meads out of Arizona. I will let you all in a little secret, which is that soon to come to California is Schramm's mead from the Upper Midwest. Yes, in distribution.
Very well respected.
Yes. So keep an eye out for those.
Excellent. No. If you're ever in the area of any of the Bottlecrafts, Candace, check them out. They're very good. Yes, we miss Beer Fest massively. Mm-hmm. We agree. Steve, Gene is the man, and nice of you to also shout out Abel.
I miss Steve. I love Steve.
Mr. Hudson apparently opened the Bottlecraft North Park Bottlecraft store, and so he is part of the Bottlecraft alumni world. Well done, Hudson. I did not know that little tidbit about you, even though I know a lot about you. Wait, that sounded weird. Anyways, moving on. So, speaking of Bottlecraft North Park, are there any beer styles that you'd love to have there, but you can't because they just don't sell?
Ooh. Smoked beers. I do carry smoked beers.
Yes!
I do carry smoked beers, but not the entire spectrum of smoked beers. Now, I totally get it. Smoked beers, Rauchbier, they are niche. They are polarizing. People tend to either love them or hate them. And those who hate them really, really dislike them.
Yeah.
I love them. I adore smoked beers. I think they're just fantastic. But I totally understand that this is not, going to achieve mainstream success. So while you can always find
beers.
Yes, exactly. Very good. Yes. While you can always find Schlenkala,
the
one straight out of Bamberg, at Bottlecraft North Park, there are other more obscure smoked beer styles that, even if they were regularly packaged, I just couldn't in good conscience from a business perspective order because I would end up drinking them all. I and a few other dedicated people. I really have to pay fealty and homage to the folks at the home brewer up the street.
Yay.
George and Jacob with their Zungenbrecher. Zungenbrecher is German for tongue twister, literally tongue breaker. And it's a Lichtenhainer Weisse. It's a
very rare beer in San Diego County.
Incredibly obscure. Even in Germany, you're not going to find these so easily. Low alcohol smoked wheat beer. I loved it. I hung out at the home brewer and drank it over and over again. And that tiny little brewery got a medal at Great American Beer Festival for this.
Absolutely. The only other brewery that I know of that's made one in San Diego County was Indian Joe's.
Oh, wow.
And who knows if they'll be coming back or not. But, George's version obviously was incredibly balanced and just had a little tiny smoke quality in the background.
I loved it. It was terrific. And that's the sort of thing that I would love to carry, but from a business perspective, I just don't know if that's going to work out too well. But I really adore smoked beers. I am reminded also of Live Oak Brewing in Austin, Texas, who have the unofficial motto, we're going to keep brewing smoked beers until people like them.
Speaking of, from the peanut gallery,
there you go.
I agree. I've had one from Live Oak, and it was exceptional. They brew smoky beers very well. Like I said, I've only had one, but lots of my friends.
They do unsmoked beers too, and their beers are top of the line across the board. But I do appreciate that they are almost obsessively devoted to the cause of smoked beers. So
that's great. So thinking of what are some breweries that maybe here in San Diego, maybe not, that you're really high on that you don't think the public is giving enough love to currently? Like some underrated heroes out there that we should be paying more attention to.
Yeah, or they haven't heard of them yet.
Mm-hmm. Here in San Diego, I feel that New English Brewing Company is underrated in Sorrento Valley.
Yes.
I really like
Brandon.
going back to the coffee porter, coffee stout. There's Zumbar coffee stout with Zumbar coffee from the roaster around the corner.
By the way, that's the fourth beer for next week.
No way.
Thank you for reminding me.
Look at that. I think this is one of the more underrated beers in San Diego as a core year-round beer. I also think that they don't get enough attention for their English brown ale, the Brewer's Special Brown. It's not a trendy style. You just don't see so many English browns, but the Brewer's Special Brown is very well done. You got that slight toasty malt. Otherwise, I've been really enjoying since the beginning of the pandemic, again, totally coincidentally, but the beers from Wayfinder up in Portland. They do stellar lagers, really excellent. Helles lagers, Czech Pils as part of their core, and they did a really terrific Italian Pilsner, so-called, we can get into the stylistic variations. There was a collab between them, Modern Times in Portland, in the old common space in Southeast Portland, and also Heater Allen. And Heater Allen is one of the exceptional lager breweries out of Oregon. I don't know what it is about Oregon. Why does Oregon make such good lagers?
Maybe it's in the water.
There's so many fantastic lager beers out of Oregon, from Thrym, from Heater Allen, from Wayfinder. So Wayfinder is only new here in California. They only began distributing in April or May this year, but absolutely lager lovers should check them out. So
excellent, man. And that brings us to our wish list again. Number 2. We'll start with Brandon. What has the second spot on your holiday beer wish list, Mr. Hernandez?
I want a Pale Horse from the Lost Abbey. It's a French oak aged sour golden ale with Sauvignon Blanc grape must.
Wow, very specific. I like it.
Right at my freaking alley, but it's $41, so someone's going to have to gift it to me.
I hear that. While Lost Abbey's long fermentation, barrel mixed fermentation beers are amazing, they also are at a premium price.
Yeah, $41 plus tax.
And shipping if you go that route. So, but yes, that's great. A great mention in the feature for sure. All right, Frosty. What's number 2 on your list?
So just to piggyback off of Brandon a little bit, and because I have a stocking of it, it's probably one of my favorites.
Yes, Santa's Little Helper.
So,
great beer.
So yes, that's one of my favorite seasonal holiday beers. I used to get it a lot back in the days for a certain reason. I don't get it as much as anymore.
Wonder why. Anyway,
moving on.
It's one of my favorite seasonal beers to get, and I miss it a lot.
Out of those 500 beers in my closet I mentioned, at least 30 are Santa's Helper. Different versions, barrel aged, different years. They had some with a couple adjuncts. Just lovely beer.
Yeah.
So I'll see it on my doorstep soon, Brian.
Right,
thanks.
Gene?
right, you see, this makes the present giving.
I know. I'm like,
real
hey,
easy, you know?
What'd you say, Brandon?
I think it's hazelnut. I picked some up, but it actually
This year's contains hazelnut.
like
It's definitely Nutella influenced.
All right.
It's really tasty.
Nice.
Let's go.
I'll give you
Estella?
one.
All right.
So that beer that Abel just mentioned was actually my number 2, and I figured he was going to mention it, so I changed it.
That's awesome.
Mine is Santa's Red from Insurgente
Oh, right on.
in Tijuana, which is a beer that I love, and they just posted not too long ago that it's available. I haven't gotten it this year. I plan on getting it, but that's another one of those beers that is just a beautiful amber that I love, and it's just delicious. So yeah, that's what it is. Go Tijuana.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Gene, number 2 for you, sir.
Well, I have. So this will combine 2 aspects of beers and topics we've just been talking about in terms of coffee porters, but also smoked beers. I am a diehard
coffee porter smoked beer.
Just you wait. I am a diehard fan of Cellar Maker Brewing in San Francisco.
Yes.
I was born in San Francisco. San Francisco is my birth city. I grew up in South Berkeley, but I have deep affection for Cellar Maker Brewing, in particular their coffee and cigarettes. Coffee and cigarettes is a coffee porter with a proportion of smoked malt, and it is perfect.
I was going to say I only know of one, and that's the one. Good job, man.
And I love the artwork as well. I actually have a coffee mug that I drink coffee from every morning that has the beer's label on it, showing anthropomorphic cup of coffee all wired and a real with a face, and then actually here. This is the Imperial version, but you get the idea. That's a wired cup of coffee, and there's like a grumpy cigarette ashtray there.
Yes, it's a great beer. I mean, similar to bacon and eggs with how exceptional it is. Just has that extra quality of smoke ball. That's rad, man. For me, my number 2 is all about the bourbon barrel aged Speedway. It is the season. Again, this is a type of beer that I don't even have to drink this decade if I don't want to, but I will. As big, as bourbony, as stouty as it gets in San Diego. Love it, 100%. If you were wondering how to reach my heart, that's a good vehicle. There's other vehicles, but that's a good one. Let's catch up with the rest of these. Yes, absolutely. Both of those are great smoked beers, Joseph. Okay, there you go. That's a great color. So we call
Oh,
a
that's a
beer.
good question.
We call beers that drink well below their weight. So like a 10% IPA that drinks like a 6%, an ABV smuggler. Do any beers pop to your mind when we talk about that? That beers that drink way smoother than they should and are dangerous.
Kern River Citra, aforementioned, jumps to mind. 8% doesn't taste like it. Enegren, again, I'm sorry we keep repeating the same breweries, but their upcoming winter season.
They're great.
Maple Baltic Porter is a very dangerous beer where it's a strong black lager with maple syrup as the carbonating, the priming sugar for carbonation. And that one also is, very, very dangerous.
That's
I
awesome.
might have to return to this question. I'll have to think of some others.
That's okay. If anything pops to mind while we're going through, you can always mention it.
You'll see the eureka moment going off.
Yes, I agree with Cesar. Everything, first off, everything coming out of New English is amazing. If you want a new daily drinker, you can just grab Pure and Simple. I mean, it's just everything that New English makes is very high quality. So check them out if you haven't. I would say they are perennially the most underrated brewery in San Diego. I would think for the last, how long have they been open? 7 years? So
No,
for the last
more than a decade.
there you go. So for the last 12 or 13 years, New English has been the most underrated brewery in San Diego. And they're just phenomenal. Excellent. So Julie is chiming in that that it is partially due to the water, but at the same time, obviously, it does take a skilled brewer to drive that to the port. And no, we have not had the PDX Dort, but we will get on that. I will accept that homework.
Yeah, I was
Please
saying,
send-
Julie,
please send
just send
Dort.
it to us. Send it to us. We'll
This is,
drink
actually
it.
this is actually a bit of a wordplay because it's a reference to Dortmunder, the export lagers, but also Dort in German means like right there. There. Right there. Dort.
I feel we need closed captioning for this episode, Gene, with all these words.
Right.
Okay?
Well, I mean, sometimes you have someone that can speak German and pronounce
Yeah.
all the words properly, and then like I'm not even going to try to say in Heinz exactly. So and then I agree. Six Geese a Laying from the brewery might be my favorite in their holiday series.
Yeah.
It just a really phenomenal beer. But so while Gene is running away, we'll get through what we drank. Let's start with Estella. What was the last beer you had before jumping on with us tonight?
It was
Power Play.
Yeah, it was Power Play. So I kind of decided that I wasn't gonna drink other than Thursdays. Like
You
yeah.
manage a brewery.
which is closed right now.
I get it, but
This is why I was like, okay, I gotta lay off of the drinking. I'm gaining some weight here. I need to stop. So I was only gonna drink Thursday's show day because I can do that right now.
yes,
Other days I can't.
you have an excuse.
It's not gonna happen. So yeah, I pulled something out. It was something that Brandon sent me. So yeah, delicious. Thank you. So yeah,
Very enjoyable beer. I love their connection with the goals. Anyone that has been there pre-goal game knows the place is hopping.
let me go back. Let me go back a second. Not a Goals fan. I'm a hockey fan.
That's fine.
I will go when they play against
Against the
the
Kings.
Reign, against the Reign.
Yeah.
Against Ontario Reign. Because obviously I'm a big Kings fan, and people are like, "But it's hockey." I'm like, "It is, but it isn't. It goes deep, guys. It goes deep."
Yes.
So GKG. Go.
There you go. Frosty.
Oh,
We lost you,
can't hear
Abel.
you.
I don't know what happened, but we lost the
you hear
Abel.
me?
Yes, there you're
Hey.
back.
Okay, cool.
Good job. Number 2, sir.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
No,
Actually, had it
did
right
you
here.
drink?
I'm not sure. I think we might have chatted about it last week, but I was up in Del Mar the other day, and I was swinging home, and I wanted to go pick up a pizza from a little place in Solana Beach, and so
Yeah.
I ended up picking up some Secret Swamis.
Oh, Secret Swamis is so good.
And so they gave me like a 24 pack. I don't know why. I just wanted 6. But
Sometimes that happens.
You know people who
it's
drink beer. Why are you
it's a
mad?
secret. So, but no, this was really good. I was kind of really mind blown with this one. I was little like I didn't know what it was supposed to be. I didn't know what it was like. I didn't know nothing about it other than what I've read. But it was kind of like, all right, let's taste it. And it's basically everything but they add I think New Zealand Cascade and Nelson in it is what I'm hearing. So
so Vic's Secret is New Zealand Cascade, and so that's where that came from.
So is that beer only available certain times or
no? It's only available right now. It's a special version of Swami's. It wasn't available at Bottlecraft, or we would have it for our end of the year show. But find it. I know Bindevine had some. They're out now.
Like I said, I went to Solana Beach and
you went directly to the source.
I went to the source. I was there to get pizza, and I said, "Oh, I'll just do it while I'm there."
So if you're a fan of Swami's and you're like, I wish they would just release a special version. This is it. It's amazing, and it's really cool that they would take probably one of the Mount Rushmore of IPAs in San Diego, meaning Swami's, and give it a little tweak and freshen it up. So that's rad. Mr. Hernandez, what did you drink before the show?
Going back to something Abel mentioned before, one of his presidency ones had that. This one goes to 11 from Karl Strauss. Just to show what a great wine great must fan that I am. I had an Imperial Red Ale with Cabernet Sauvignon Great Must. And I gotta admit, I didn't really think it sounded like a good idea. But the beer itself tastes really nice and is way more balanced than I would have ever expected. I think that after it hangs out for another year, it'll be even better. But you get this really great coffee caramel notes that are it tastes like a really rich Imperial Red Charlie, basically, to me. But the way that wine grape must comes across, it just dries it out really nicely, adds some tannins to the finish, and makes for a really interesting beer. It's very experimental, but tastes good at the same time and will taste better later, I believe.
I think it will taste better with at least a couple months on it, at least. But I agree. I think it needs a little time. For me, it pushed the boundary between beer and wine in a unique way, for sure. But it crossed, for whatever reason, for my palate, it came off a little hot, but very unique and enjoyable for sure. And yes, that's what we will be opening here in just a minute. And then, Gene, did you want to tell us what the last beer you had was before you joined us on the show?
The Noble Tendencies from Lost Abbey, which just debuted. That was yesterday. Believe it or not, joining the show, that was the first beer I'd had of the day, the Foliage. So last night I had the Noble Tendencies for the first time from Lost Abbey. It was excellent. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of the Eris by Society, but perhaps a touch lighter body. But it sounds like you're going to be tasting on this show very soon yourself.
Yeah, we're going to have that next week on our end of the year show. So that'll be really cool. And then for me, it's a beer I've talked about extensively, so I'll just kind of show you.
Pariah.
By this little brewery that I've never mentioned on the show.
Terrific.
So yeah, it might be their best beer. I mean, it's hard for me to pick a best beer at one of my favorite breweries, any of them, but especially this one because I am too ingrained with Pariah to be, what's that word? Oh, objective. Yeah, I'm not objective about Pariah. Impartial. I'm not. Like I said, I'm too ingrained, like literally into the walls of the place. But anyways, phenomenal beer. I always have it in my fridge. It will not compete this year in quantity to Catch Me Coastin', but no other beer will for me. So that's just how it's going to have to go. So as you saw Gene hold up, our third beer is Christmas Ale from St. Bernardus.
Coming out.
Dun, dun, huge Belgian holiday beer. Why don't you break it down for us, Gene, and tell us what we're enjoying? And it matches Brandon now that he took a moment to get in the spirit.
Seasonally appropriate. So St. Bernardus is located in Vatou in western Flanders, and they are just a town or two over from the elusive 7th Trappist brewery that we can never seem to get a hold of here in the United States, the monks at St. Sixtus, Westfeteren. And we get the other 6 of the classic, 7 Trappist breweries in the Low Countries. 6 in Belgium, 1 straddling the Belgian-Dutch border. That's the La Trappe, who were the first people to actually put quad on the label. Previously, quad was sort of an amorphous style. All these breweries are really important for the development of what we consider Belgian beer in terms of the Trappist style, but also in terms of the yeast strains. And the yeasts are so important in these styles of beers because they give off such delicious aromatic esters. So St. Bernardus is a secular brewery, despite the cheerful monk on the label, and he's on every single one. He always has that look on his face. In this one, he's wearing a Santa hat. Very cheeky, very irreverent. They're a secular brewery, but they did the brewing, if I'm not mistaken, for the monks at St. Sixtus, Vestvleteren, for quite a while, until the monks took it back, basically, and said, thanks, we appreciate your help all these years, but we're going to be doing the brewing ourselves again and reclaim our Trappist appellation. But the brewers, very well-trained brewers there at St. Bernardus, said, well, we know how to brew these styles of beers. We're good at it. Let's just keep it up. So their most beloved beer, probably on a year-round basis, is the Abt 12, or 12, ABT 12, which is the closest we're going to get in the United States to the elusive Vestvleteren 12. It's essentially the same recipe. I believe they changed the yeast strain from the Westmalle strain to the Chimay strain. And this, the Christmas ale, is inspired by Abt 12. It's definitely the same base beer with some ever so slight spicing added, just a touch. This is the sort of beer that I really only like to drink in the winter time, or what we call winter here.
This is winter right now, Gene. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think it's like 60 degrees right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still
I'm wearing a
weather.
sweater.
So, a lot of what all these beers have in common is the use of candy sugar. Candy sugar, or especially caramelized candy sugar, is like steroids for yeast. You feed it to the yeast and they just crank it up. Especially when you have a really healthy yeast, very attenuative, just eats up all those sugars, produces alcohol and carbonation, but without the malt heft to make you full. The big difference between a Belgian strong dark beer and a stout, when people come in and have the sort of misapprehension that dark beers are all heavy, really what we're talking about is malt and roast. And Belgian strong darks have darkness in color, yes, from that caramelized candy sugar, but without the roast that you would expect from roasted malts, and without the heft from an all malt body. And so when you put these together, you get these really dangerous beers that are rather high in alcohol. This one's at 10% on the nose.
What?
Yeah, it's a huge ABV smuggler.
And yes, so here this is my continuation answer to your earlier question. This is an ABV smuggler of a beer. This does not taste like a 10% beer.
Add this to the
like
list, for sure.
6.5, 7% beer, right?
Wow.
And although it has the flavor strength of a very strong beer, you're not tasting any heat. It's incredibly well aged and ready to drink. And like their best by date is what is this? July of 24.
Looks like a 5-year date to me.
Yeah,
4 years. Excuse me.
at least.
Yeah.
4 years.
And just
It'll go longer.
I have never had the wherewithal to let one sit in my closet. So I don't know what it tastes like aged, because every time I'm like, oh, I'll buy. It's the right time of year. I'll buy 2. I'll drink one. I'll save one. I end up drinking the second one.
Yeah.
It doesn't go well. So one of the great things I love about this beer is it's not overtly Belgian on a flavor profile. And so for me, sometimes Belgian beers can cross a line, whatever line in my palate, where things start tasting kind of metallic or coppery. But this one doesn't have any of those type of esters. It's just very clean. And the carbonation from natural conditioning is different than the forced carbonation we have in all of our IPAs here in San Diego. And it's just smoother and smaller, and it's not nitro, but it's towards nitro, and like you said, tighter, slicker type of carbonation. Just incredibly enjoyable all around. Very balanced spice. Like if you're the type of person that's like, oh, pumpkin beer is way too spicy for me as far as cinnamon, clove, that area. This just has like a hint, enough of a hint of spices in it that you're like, oh, holiday time.
It's very
love it.
It's very sugar plum, you know.
Yeah.
It's very like holiday, like dates and figs, and you would hear these sorts of descriptors for Belgian strong darks and quads anyway. But it seems like very well attuned to the season.
Absolutely, and yes, pound that shit from the bottle.
I am.
It's only a 10% dinner. Don't worry.
I'm home. Where
All
am I
the
going?
pounding might make it harder to see this, but can people see what's on my hat?
You have a
Oh, now we can. Well done, sir.
So I got this
I can't see it.
after I went to West Later.
It says St.
And then
Bernardus.
bust right on down to St. Bernardus and had those quads back to back. And they're definitely different, like you're saying, but ABT 12 has been a favorite beer of mine for the longest time. Like when I first discovered it, like I like Belgian beers, and it set me down this long. I still love Belgian beer so much, and I get this every single year. At like a 5-year wrinkle in my closet at all times, just in case Christmas breaks out. But I was really glad you selected this beer because I love the fact that it's available every year pretty easily, and not only that, at 10%. Now it's available in a smaller format, which I can actually enjoy it without having to,
commit to a
open it up amongst
750.
friends.
Yes.
I can drink from the bottle.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Previous conversation, I think it's great to have a reasonable slice of that for any day during the holidays or July, and enjoy it.
There you go.
So, thanks for selecting it.
That's right, man.
My pleasure.
So, speaking of this holiday beer, what are some other beers personally for you, Gene, that are, holiday inspired or things that are available during this time that you kind of gravitate towards?
Also, you had mentioned Scaldis Noel. That's a really important beer. The Nice Schoof I'm sticking within the Belgian category. For Belgian Christmas beers, Nice is a terrific value from Brasserie de la Schoof, and that's also in the Dufel Mortgat family. So we've got full circle again with that. That one has coriander and orange peel and is 10%, but again, the spicing is not obnoxious. I mean, Sierra Nevada Celebration, of course.
The perennial.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're getting into barley wine season, so for those who really like barley wine, this is your time.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, we're ready to stick a fork in 2020. I'm sure most people are. What are you going to be drinking for New Year's, sir?
Yeah.
Oh. Should have had an answer prepared for this.
I'm very sorry. I should have sent you the show sheet or something yesterday.
Something that's available that people can go buy.
Oh no, that's not
It's not going to work.
Yeah,
First off, that's really nice of you, but that's not available.
No, it's less than available.
Yeah, less than available. I like that. That's a good term.
Yeah.
There's like that bottle, and then there's like 3 of my friends I know that have it, and that's it. Anyways.
That's all there is in the world.
So somebody's walking into Bottlecraft and they ask you, what should I drink New Year's Eve? Go!
I mean,
They're tough 001 for sure.
Champagne? I mean, sparkling wine? No, this is
we
a
want beer.
show.
We want beer.
Yeah,
We want beer.
yeah.
What's the beer alternative?
In previous years, I would have said Deus by Bostales. That's the one of the few only Bière de Champagnes you can get in the U.S., but they are sadly owned by AB InBev right now. There was a beer back in Massachusetts from Enlightenment Ales that was a Bière de Champagne. When I say Bière de Champagne, I mean that it was conditioned dosage style like champagne. So it's beer, it's all barley, but it's got those tight secondary fermentation bubbles going on.
That's great, man.
I have a good answer. I'm gonna take a pass on this one.
It's totally cool. For me, New Year's Eve is really a great time for cleaning out the fridge. Start fresh. you start early on New Year's Eve. At least I do, because I'm a heavy drinker at times. And make sure you get everything out of that fridge and make some room for next year. And always, we certainly need a huge new beginning this year. So let's all manifest a better year next year by looking forward to it. Before we jump into the news and our march out of here, what can we expect next from the Bottlecraft Empire?
Well, in the works is a location in San Luis Obispo.
Ooh, wow! Stretching the border.
Further up. Slow. And I hope to actually make it work this year. We had it planned this year. Tentatively for us to take a trip up to Enegren to brew a collaborative beer. Ooh. And that was not to be this year, but I'm hoping in 2021 we can make this happen.
That's a great goal.
And keep an eye out at Bottlecraft North Park, being the only location with spirits again. We have just received in our first store picks for bourbon and rye. And I feel the need to put in a shameless plug for those. We have a Russell's Reserve single barrel pick. And we have, at the moment, a Whistle Pig single barrel pick for rye. And I feel this one is near and dear to my heart because I was one of the people on the committee to choose this barrel.
Ooh.
So did you get samples or did you go?
No travel. I have
okay.
not. Brian, I have not left the city in many months.
Thank you for your service for not leaving the cities. That's really good.
Yeah, just stay put, everybody. Stay put.
Yeah. So Steve actually wanted to make sure that we mentioned the barrel selection from Whistle Pig.
I see that now. I'd be delighted to let you know, Steve, and you and everyone else out there. So Whistle Pig, as you may all be aware, and I know we're getting off topic with the beer side of
that's
things,
okay.
That's all good.
This is topical.
Great.
It's Bottlecraft. Do it.
Yep, we welcome it.
Whistle Pig is a company in Vermont that produces 100% rye aged up in barrels. We were sent, and it was myself and just two other people who tasted through the 5 different blind barrel samples. All we knew about these samples was that they were at least 10 years old. That's all we knew. We knew nothing else about it. And this is very important. It was the owner of Bottlecraft and I and our outside spirits consultant, and we didn't say a word to one another. Nothing. Because you all have experienced blind tasting. And
it's definitely different.
Mm-hmm. You know that if you're tasting something in a group, you say just one word, and you can really bias and influence one another. You can even convince yourself of things that you weren't perceiving before. Yep. And so we didn't say a word to one another. We sipped and sniffed and sniffed and sipped. And in the end, we revealed all of our choices simultaneously, and we all picked the same barrel.
Okay.
And we said,
does that mean it was barrel number 3?
It was barrel number 4. But the 3 of us checked it out. Yeah.
I got it.
It was 4 out of 5. But we had all picked the same barrel, and
nice.
The Whistle Pig rep here in San Diego, Laura, told us a couple of months later. I mean, it was long after we'd committed to purchasing the whole thing. She said, "Oh, by the way, you guys picked a 17-year barrel."
Of course you did. Yes.
Well, no, but really, we didn't pick it because it was 17 years. We picked it because we liked it
because it tasted right.
I was shocked at how different all of the barrel samples were. There were really dramatic differences. One of them had these real like fruity, like ale yeast esters going on. Another one was extremely woody. And then texturally, I liked our pick the best. And she told us later that it was really important that they don't actually give out the age statement to potential picks because many stores and bars will just be like, oh, I'll take the oldest one. But the oldest one isn't necessarily the best one. It really isn't. Yeah.
It just was in this case.
Well, we don't know. It's possible that some of the other barrels were even older.
Best for your mouth at the time.
Correct.
For sure.
We liked it the best. So at the moment
what was the best by date on that thing?
Forever.
Is there an infinity symbol to put on? So we have. I mean, there's only 132 bottles in the world, and we have circa 60 or 70 left at the shop. Woo. And so, if you are somebody who enjoys rye and enjoys Whistle Pig and enjoys older age statements, and you trust our palates, please come by and consider Whistlepig 17.
Nice.
And
I'll be there tomorrow.
what is the suggested retail value of said bottle?
The
A
MSRP.
mere $99.99.
But for a
Okay.
private reserve selected
I'll be there on
barrel,
Friday
that's
after payday.
pretty good. That's pretty good, man. That's rad, man.
Like, I'll be there payday Friday, thanks.
I mean this honestly. I couldn't be happier with it. I really enjoy it. I have bought 2 bottles myself already. So,
Wow.
So wait, are you gonna sit on those bottles? Or are you gonna enjoy
well,
them?
one of them is already open. You see, that's the problem.
Okay.
The second one is living comfortably in my closet. So,
Got it. Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
Yes, Kevin, I agree. This is new number 4. Was terrific. Is terrific. It's still on draft. If you can get over there and get a crowler, that's great. We covered that. Yes, absolutely beautiful hat on Mr. Hernandez. Gene is amazing at BCNP and an awesome guest. Thank you, other Brandon from the show. We agree. This has been a great show. Italy chiming in a very good beer. If you like mixed fermentation, check out this beer. Find it. It's hard to say for me, probably not for Gene, but it's a very terrific beer.
we have bottles in the shop right now.
Excellent. That's awesome.
We have bottles of that in the shop right now too.
Yes. So avec les bonnes voix.
The 12 ounces and also the 50-ounce magnums of Anchor Christmas.
Avec les bonnes voix.
Yes, exactly.
You said that all wrong, but sure.
It means literally with good wishes in French, but I would translate it idiomatically as with best wishes. It's a gift-giving beer.
Okay, can you say it? Because we all said it wrong, I'm
I
sure.
don't speak French. I don't speak French. I would say avec les bons voeux.
You did better than me.
Okay.
Mr. Stout 365 checking in with a barrel-aged Rasputin, a terrific beer. Great idea. If you're looking for a beer that it has a champagne quality, grab some brewed IPA. They're harder to find than they were 2 years ago, but they are still out there. The most recent one I had that I enjoyed was from Ballast Point. I don't know if theirs is still available, but maybe it is. Check it out.
Savage Wood in Scripps Ranch has a brew they're putting out this weekend. So I guess when this comes out last weekend for their anniversary. So
excellent. Part of their anniversary beer package.
Yes.
That's great.
The best food IPA I ever had was also the first one I ever had, and I ruined myself. It was Green Cheek.
They are just terrific in every beer they make. They're great. The cell flakes on St. Bernardus Christmas look more like irregular polygonic marshmallow. They do actually. Good observation, Joe. We thanks for chiming in.
Joe, drink some more beer.
Exceptional graphic design. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Brandon Hernandez with the San Diego Beer News. What's going on this week, Brandon?
Well, first off, I don't know if you've ever heard of 10 Barrel before. If you haven't,
I may have heard of them.
If you haven't, it's okay. They're owned by
11 Barrel
and got a brew pub.
Yes,
for
we
6
did.
years in the East Village of downtown San Diego. They don't anymore because they decided to close it up.
Wow.
Like so many companies, they're actually struggling with the pandemic. And I'll be straightforward. We all care about people who work there. Good San Diegans who are the employees. I've actually been down there. They had really good people doing a really good job. I got a problem with that. But so many people in the brewing industry, it was really a sad day when they came in the East Village, got this 2-story building, and kind of like tried to use all of the buzzwords of San Diego local craft beer to basically suckle off of the teat of real local independent craft beer and build themselves as that to any tourists who wandered by or anybody who didn't know any better in San Diego. I think everyone's really glad they're gone. I'm not one to get big on stuff like this, but I will say that I'm glad that they're out of here. And it's a good thing, especially with people struggling and people's dollars going further than they ever have before during this pandemic.
Right.
There's one less person siphoning off to people who small businesses who should be supported. So Friday was their last day. They're out of here, and there you go.
the best thing I saw in social media regarding this, obviously my position has been clear since before they opened, but the best thing I saw was that it would be a really good location for Amplified.
Yes, it would.
And so,
Yes, it would.
with every death of a brewery, there is a potential for a birth of a different one. And because of Amplify's connection to East Village, they had the genius way to call it Evil Village, but they would fit really really well at that location.
Yeah.
It's not going to be cheap. It's a
Yeah,
corporation that's going to be in a foreclosure. This is not going to be a good deal. They spent millions of dollars on that build out. However, looking at it from a local beer perspective, Amplify would be a really good fit for that neighborhood. So, anyways, I hope something happens that's good there. And I am, as like Brandon said, I'm not shedding any tears.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody wants to see people lose their jobs, but
No,
at
of
the
course
same
not.
time,
No,
you don't have
I'm
sympathy for the bosses necessarily.
Yeah.
exactly. So
It will be. Go ahead.
I would say this corporation obviously has billions and billions and billions of fucking dollars, and if any goddamn company in the world could have waited out this pandemic, it's fucking AB InBev. And to see them act like this after their, like you said, the way they came into San Diego and professed their love of community and craft beer, and then as soon as they run into one little small obstacle, they're out. It really undermines what we have been saying from the beginning, which is that corporations like AB InBev do not look at this community and industry in the same light. So, bye-bye.
Yeah, it was basically a very good excuse to get out of something they probably strategically shouldn't have got into in the first place. But it's going to be very interesting to your point of like who's going to take this thing over. It's got a brewing system in it. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how the entire landscape of San Diego goes, and other cities for that matter. It's a real buyer's market, you have to think. And we're going to see new entrants into the craft brewing industry here and abroad. And as a beer journalist, I'm going to have to learn a whole new set of people, I think, because there's going to be people who always want to get into it. Now the price is right. I can do this. The entire landscape of craft beer throughout the entire United States is probably going to change, and we're going to see that here locally as well. And I don't know if we're even going to know the people who take over that building. And you look at things like maybe an Embolden and a New Motion Beverages in Miramar, 32 North. It could be a really great thing, or who knows? But it's all very unknown. It's a big question mark right now, and I look at it with a lot of positivity. And maybe people who always want to accomplish their dreams can get in there, or people who had a chance to maybe like look at the craft beer industry in the last 10 years and really be smart about it from a business perspective will get in there too. Who knows? But it'll be very interesting there and in other locations.
Maybe Monkey Paw will come back and take over.
There you go.
You hear that, Eli? Get over there.
Who would that be? It's playing Coronado or I don't know. Okay, so go to another place that had decided to close down. Belgian Beaver in Ocean Beach. It's not really like a closure so much as just we don't want to renew our lease, which has basically happened now on the exact same. So this place is on Newport in Ocean Beach. There are 3 brewery tasting rooms right on that block and 1 around the corner. The 3 right on the block, all the tenants have all decided not to renew their lease. One of them was like right after the pandemic started. Another one was a couple months ago, and now the last one is Belgian Beaver. Belgian Beaver said, there's no outdoor capabilities for us, so we're kind of screwed right now. Plus, they like to own their buildings, which is pretty smart because they've been able to leverage all that they've put in, all the equity they've put into these buildings. And now they're going to find a replacement venue. In the meantime, they're taking people from the OB location, they're putting them in their other locations. They have 5 others, so it's really no big deal. But it's interesting to see everything that's happened there on that one block. Culture is now Novo. 2 Roots is going to be California Wild Ale. Belgian Beaver will probably be someplace else. But Kilowatt, meanwhile, like right across the street, they're doing great. And I think that you're going to see the success of all the people who come into these venues not to say anything about the people who were there before because I thought culture fit in really good.
Yeah.
Beach vibe, reclaim, really fun. Two Roos, I mean, give me a break. It's non-alcoholic and THC infused beer and OB. Perfect. Belching Beaver, really fun place to go. They had games and all this fun stuff to do. I don't think that they were hurting from that perspective until the pandemic came through.
Yeah.
But you look at Kilowatt, that place could not be more OB.
Yeah.
Blacklight art, all sorts of like indoor, outdoor fun, just murals all over the place that are paying homage to people who found or got popular in OB. And colorful palette there with the Novo Brazil folks who came in there and put in their Nova easy kombucha, hard kombucha thing. And now in California Wild Ales, we had them on the show. They're a little out there, a little avant-garde,
Yeah.
really fun. They're going to fit in great. Whoever comes in Belgian Beaver, I suggest fit in OB. It's going to work out great for you, I think, and especially once we get past this whole COVID-19 thing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there as well. Going to something that has nothing to do with places close. The U.S. Open Beer Championship happens every year. This year, out of 140 categories, we got 10 medals from San Diego County breweries.
Yay!
Yay! 4 of them were gold, 3 were silver, 3 were bronze. South Park Brewing, which just had a little bit of bad fortune with the fire that happened at Hamilton Tavern right next door, and did a little damage to that as well. They had some good news. They had 2 gold medals. That was more than anybody got from San Diego. Stone had 3 medals. Athletic Brewing, the non-alcoholic brewing operation, they had 2. And then, let's see, it was Catch, Burning Beard, Black Plague. Oh,
Eric,
no, I feel so
Eric, what's up?
bad. Well, anyway, they got 1 medal apiece. So it was really nice. Everything worked out great. And that was nice, a nice thing to see. And if you like award shows, if you like beer award competitions, at the beginning of the year in January, San Diego Beer News Awards, the first ever 2020, it's going to be rad. Fans, industry members, together will decide what are the best beers.
Ready.
Best, like best breweries, best service, best all these different categories together. It won't be a bunch of people in a stuffy room figuring out what beers are good. It'll be things you actually buy, things you actually nominate, and then industry people, without being able to vote for themselves, can then confirm. So it'll be a lot of fun. I love things like March Madness. They're super fun. But I've always wanted like one legitimate thing just for us in San Diego County that really just tells the story of like what are beer drinkers drinking, what are brewers respecting and loving, and we're going to have that in January. So stay tuned to San Diego Beer News. It'll be really fun, and you guys all have to be a part of it. I can't wait for you to participate and just have something fun to start 2021 off. I have my I'm going to have Gene's first ever beer on New Year's Eve, and then I'm going to get started on this.
That is awesome, man.
All right,
and
you're on.
I look forward to nominating all my favorites heavily as soon as this is open for us.
Pariah.
Hey, I might slip in a few other breweries, but mostly Pariah.
No
You got
filter.
it.
Can I add one more thing? Can I add one more thing in here?
Please, go for it.
AleSmith is doing their Anvil of Hope this weekend, which is their big charity event, and they're hosting a virtual gala, which you can get free tickets for if you register. There's also paying levels, so you can help out. But it starts at 5:15 on December 12th. And if you go to anvilofhope.org, you can register for tickets. And there's also a giving tree, and there's a silent auction, and there's a bunch of stuff. And I'm really happy that they're finally doing this. They've been trying to get this together for a long time, and they're helping out families in Logan. So obviously, Barrio Logan is going to be the first actual community that's going to benefit from this. So they're going to feed a bunch of families. They're going to help the really needy in Barrio Logan, which is, you guys know, that's where I grew up. So very near and dear to my heart. That's where Mujeres Brew House is. So, if you can, please go on to anvilofhope.org and check it out. And you can bid on a bunch of different things like cheese making with Peter, They're gonna do like a dinner with a chef. There's
Sam the
like gift
cooking guy.
baskets. Yeah, Sam the cooking guy's actually hosting. So check that out. You can go to alesmith.com or you can go to anvilofhope.org. So yeah.
One of the little known facts of craft beer is that Peter Zine and the cooking guy are related.
Sam the cooking guy coming.
Yes, exactly. It's pretty.
Wait, I thought it was the same guy.
Oh, that could be two. That could be
It
two.
was like Clark Kent and like Superman. Like I thought.
You never see them in the same room.
You never see him in the same room. Exactly.
Does anybody think
I mean,
that
have you ever-
cooking guy's
Wait,
like,
wait.
why
wait,
not
I-
organic and cheese?
So I've been buying Sam the cooking guy cheese curds all along.
Pretty much.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
That's great, man.
pretty much.
And if you want to keep up with everything, I mean everything that's happening in the beer world, go to patreon.com/San Diego Beer News. $5 a month is the entry level. There's a bigger level if you want to be more involved, but you will get every single article 1 hour before it's published to the public, at least. Sometimes I'll get something at 6 in the morning, and I won't see Brandon publish it till 9:30, 10, and I'm like, ooh, I got the inside track. I mean, I have half the... Yeah, I have half the inside track, but yes,
Maybe you get
obviously...
recommendations every week as well.
Yeah.
The best things
How
that,
many-
like,
how
rolled
many
into these sites
new
about
beers?
Bottlecraft.
How many new beers
we
are
had-
out
we had
this week?
60 this week.
Yeah.
60 new beers on What's
New
Tapping.
beers,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great resource. And even if you can't support financially, just follow him in all social media at San Diego Beer News, and you'll be up to date, and you'll be way more informed than your friends, and you'll know about all the things that you can do to support the San Diego craft beer industry. And speaking of support, we couldn't do this show without the support of an incredible group of humans. Currently, 53 of you are the best people on the face of the planet. If you go to patreon.com/The Indie Beer Show and you support us at the pint level or higher, that's $6 a month, I owe you a verbal shout out every single week, and I'm glad to do it. We're only here because we have the support of our fans. So here we go. This week, people at the pint level or higher, and most of the people on this are actually higher, but whatever. That's not the point. Ben, Bill, Brian, and Krista from Pariah. Yes, we're kind of friends. Brian Goo, Captain Eli, Casey, Dan Diegos, who's in the house, Dante from Pariah, who was listening, David Martin, past producer of the show, about to dip out of San Diego and go enjoy the winter in Vermont, where COVID is far less of a problem.
Who always on vacation?
Smart. Well, true. I'm just jealous that he set up his entire life that he could work remotely pre-COVID. Like his whole life has been digital, so he can be wherever in the world. And skiing for the next couple months in Vermont instead of being here sounds pretty good. Anyways, enjoy, David.
Send us beer from Vermont. You guys are aware, right?
By the way, he already volunteered, so we will be taking advantage of that. Doug, Garen with Beer Alien, Greg from Stone, the Indie Beer Show brand, COVID-19 pandemic, socially distancing Zorball LLC. Thank you, Maggie and Greg. Hoppy Craftsman Podcast, James, Jared, Jason, Jess from Ale Tales, Joaquin, the president of Quaff, Joseph Sokor, who is listening right now, Joey from Hoppy Beer Gear, Juan, who is Casey's husband, Judith, the beer historian, which Brandon earlier made a joke that, Gene, that is your future job, being the beer historian of San Diego. So we have expectations, sir. Kenneth, honorary patron for life, Larry Smith, Liz from Hopsbauer, Matt and Kenneth Bobineau, patron of the year. Patrons of the year, Matt the Bobineaus. Matt from the Perfect Pour. Miguel, who's in Texas. Mr. Peacock from Tapcraft, we love you. Mike, Nathaniel, Norman, OC Brew Girl, and yes, she isn't actually in OC. Pacific Beer Chat in Canada, America's Hat. Robert from 13 Point. Rudy from Jolly Spaceship. Your last chance to buy Jolly Spaceship art this week. Get on it. You won't regret it. Sergio Nigos and Jagus Faye. Which brings us back around to our number one beers on our holiday wish list. We're going to go backwards. We're going to start with Gene. Gene, the beer that you most want this year for Christmas. Or whatever holiday you celebrate.
Oh, no. I got an answer for you.
He's like,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I've been thinking about this for a couple of hours.
All right.
Augustina Hell.
Nice.
Augustina is one of the big 6 Munich brewers. They are the only 6 that are allowed to be at Oktoberfest. We can get some Augustina beers. We get the Elf and we can get the Maximator. These are fine lagers. They're excellent. Don't get me wrong. But when I visit my sister in Berlin, she lives just outside of Berlin. She's married to a German man. They have a nephew of mine. They have a son. I drink Augustina Hell as much as I can. It's a perfect Helles lager. It's like you can buy it in any train station, any corner store, any U-Bahn station. You can drink it in public. You can drink it on the train. I would do borderline illegal things to get a hold of this beer. If I had one wish for a beer that I could import to the States and carry at Bottlecraft, it's Augustina Hell. It's one of my favorite beers of all time.
That's awesome and a terrific recommendation. Although I don't want to hear the stories about what you did in the back alley to get this beer. That's okay.
I just walked into they call it the Späti. I walked in the Späti, you buy it, you drink it, done.
That's awesome, man. Frosty the Abelman, your number 1 holiday wish beer.
So I'm not going to go as far as he went.
Right,
Bring it back
right.
local. I'm looking at the Crooked Tree Holiday IPA.
Oh, nice.
Oaky Brewing, Pizza Port, Hodad's,
So
Kilowatt, with the Amplified Ales, California Wild Ale, Chula Vista Brewery, Coronado, and Catch and Thorn. And then all the money and the funds that are raised for that too also go to like a feeding the families down there.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna buy me a beer, that's supporting me and supporting families. So
excellent.
And if you want to read more about it, just go to San Diego Beer News, and there's a whole article on there right now that Brandon wrote. So it's actually really good. It's a good IPA. I think it's like the 3rd year doing it now.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's 2.
2nd year. Okay.
Yeah,
I believe Brandon.
I didn't read the article. So
that's right. But it's always
next year for the 3rd one. It'll be great.
It's always good when an excellent beer also benefits people that need it. So good choice, sir. Estella.
Real quick, that beer was just supposed to be available at OB Brewing. Thorn Barrio has a couple kegs of it, so you can get it there.
Oh, nice.
I think they're doing all the canning only at Thorn, is what I heard.
Well, you were only supposed to be able to get it at OB Brewing, like draft, but they did keep a couple at Thorn, so you can't. Because I drank it there just the other night.
Oh, they're so nice.
Before the whole shutdown.
How was it?
It was great. It was really, really good. I have a couple cans. I should send you some. But yeah.
Please do.
But yeah. Anyway. But yeah, mine is of course Celebration, guys. Celebration.
Yeah. Well done.
Of course. I'm gonna go Celebration all day long. I did go to SeaWorld the other day, and what did they have? Celebration. So yes, I did.
Nice.
Quite a few of those. One of my favorite beers. I'm sad we can only get it a specific time of year, but I will drink as much of it as I can, just not for the next 3 weeks. But yes, go.
Excellent. Holiday beer Andin.
Oh, me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, you.
Who else?
I forgot what I wrote.
Yeah.
I feel really selfish now, but I'm kind of Abel being such a wonderful, generous man.
Right.
So concerned with his fellow man, which I am, but not as much. Anything candy on would be great.
There's a bottle of foie right there. I'm tapping on my screen. Yeah, that's
right over.
Yeah, I'm clicking the like button, but I don't think it's working.
Anytime can we click like? No?
Speaking of, Gene, do you ever get bottles of anything from this brewery in Bottlecraft?
Upon rare occasion, and I have to be completely honest with you, it never really hits the shelves.
I can see that.
And that's not because
And that's fair.
And that's not because I'm sitting in the back just drinking them all. You know.
But we wouldn't blame you if you were.
Well, you should
Regular,
blame me.
right?
You're right too. Okay,
One for me, two for you. One
Have
for
some
me.
accountability for me, won't you, please? It's because the beers go to our beer club, the Lock and Key Collective, and or when we were available to serve, we had a sour fest every year, and so many of these are conditional. We're speaking about how things once were prior to March of this year, and hopefully will be again. But we do have a sour fest every year at Bottlecraft's Little Italy and North Park, and upon those occasions, we will open some of these things up and offer them for bottle pours, not for take home. There are also, again, in the ante-Covidian and also hopefully post-Covidian universe, the idea of the rare beer and cheese classes that we used to run with Benito North Park. I miss those terribly, and I do hope to start them up again soon.
Me too.
Yeah.
They're terrific events.
Yeah.
So my beer is in the same vein, but a little more attainable. It is Goose, but 3F. I don't even ever try to say their name. I'm sure Gene can say it well, but specifically, it's the Armand and Gaston blend. This Goose is fucking fantastic if you like a pure non-fruited goose, and please buy it for me. I'll just leave it at that. You want me to go ooh when you hand me a bottle of beer? That's the one right now that will make me do that. So it is amazing. Gene, where can everyone keep up with everything that happens at Bottlecraft?
We have an Instagram account. We have a Facebook account. I don't run those accounts. It's probably for the best.
It's okay.
You have enough titles on your plate.
Yeah.
For those wondering, they have a main Bottlecraft account that covers all their bottle shops. Then they also have specifics. So Bottlecraft North Park, Bottlecraft Little Italy, Bottlecraft Salon Beach, or Encinitas. I don't remember which one you have a location in, but they call out the whole locations in their Instagram handle. So look them up.
The general Bottlecraft Instagram is probably the single best place to find out about new upcoming beers and so forth.
That's awesome. If you want to reach us,
love the guy who's our guest. San Diego Beer.
Say again, Brendan. I'm sorry.
Man, he contributes every single week. So if you just like this one in particular person and Bottlecraft, that's great.
Yes. If you want Gene's work, it's on San Diego Beer News every week. He makes recommendations. So pay attention for that. If you want to talk to us.
I want to thank you, Brandon, for giving us a platform to give our weekly recommendations. So,
thank you for
he's the best
doing it, because I mean, you guys are rad. You're an incredible person and very timely with your contributions, which is fantastic. And literally, I get thirsty just looking at the things that you send in every week. It's really
that's the idea.
I really do.
My job is done.
Like, oh, that's a good pick. Yeah, that's a good pick too.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much. Okay, Brandon, take it away.
It's all right. We do got to get out of here. But if you want to reach us, we're at cheers@indie.beer. If you like email, we're at Indie Beer Show on Twitter, the Indie Beer Show on Insta and Facebook. If you want to be the sixth person, which yes, that means we do have an active voicemail that we will play next week. Thank you for calling in message 5 for the year. But if you want to be the sixth person, or if you want to leave us a voicemail for the final episode of the year, which will be next week, that's 619-798-6038. Thank you to an incredible group of audience that asked a bunch of questions, had a lot of comments. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Gene, so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. For Holiday Brandon, Estella, Frosty the Abelman, Gene Fielden, and myself, I'm Brian. Ooh, another secret Swami's coming out of the pouch. You've been listening to the Indie Beer Show. Thank you, and good night.